How did Britain go from shoulder pads, shell suits and giant perms to barely recognized in the decade in old photos? Today we're looking back at the clothes, hairstyles and accessories that were completely normal in 1980s Britain but would make people turn their heads today. Acid wash jeans, leg warmers, neon everything. Here are 12 things people wore in 1980s Britain that you'd rarely see today. 12. Shoulder pads in everything. Shoulder pads weren't just for suits. They appeared in blazers, jumpers, dresses, coats, and even casual tops. The aim was simple: wider shoulders, smaller-looking waists, more confidence. By the mid-1980s, television shows like Dynasty had made power dressing hugely popular. For many working women, the look carried a message too. Take up space. Look confident. Today, shoulder pads return occasionally in blazers, but in the 80s, subtle was never the point. The next trend was even louder and made entire families look like they were sponsored by a highlighter pen. 11. Neon sportswear. Neon was everywhere. Pink, lime green, electric blue, bright yellow. Tracksuits, sweatshirts, leggings and trainers came in colors visible from the other side of the street. The fitness boom helped drive it, while flash stunts in 1983 made gym-inspired clothing fashionable outside the gym. Leggings and sweatshirts stopped being exercise clothes. People wore them to the shops, to town. Everywhere today, activewear is usually black, gray or navy. The 1980s looked like someone had turned the saturation up too far. Bright colors were one thing. The next outfit made noise before you even entered the room. 10. Shell suits. By the late 1980s, the shell suit arrived. Matching jacket, matching trousers, shiny nylon fabric, usually several colors at once. They were cheap, comfortable, and incredibly loud. The fabric swished with every step. You could hear someone walking down the corridor before you saw them. Modern tracksuits are still common, but few people would choose a full shiny shell suit for a trip into town today, especially one that squeaked when you moved. Some 80s clothes were loud because of color. The next looked like it had survived a chemical accident. 9. Acid wash jeans. Acid wash jeans were one of the decade's biggest denim looks. The fabric was treated to create a pale, mottled, bleached pattern. They were high-waisted, tapered at the ankle, and often worn with a belt and tucked-in t-shirt. By the late 1980s, ordinary blue jeans were not always enough. They had to look faded, washed out, or slightly destroyed. Acid wash briefly returned in the 2000s, but the full 80s version remains unmistakable. The jeans were high, but the next fashion statement was even higher. 8. Big hair and perms. The 1980s did not believe in flat hair. Hair had to be big, curly, sprayed, and visible from several rooms away. Perms became popular for women and men, using chemicals to create long-lasting curls. Then came the hairspray, a lot of it. By the end of the decade, big hair had become part of the 80s silhouette. Today, people may curl their hair, but very few aim for a hairstyle that needs its own postcode. Once the hair had taken over the room, the rest of the outfit had to keep up. 7. Leg warmers. Leg warmers began as practical dancewear. Then they escaped into everyday life. They were worn over leggings, tights, jeans, and sometimes with skirts. The trend was fueled by flash stunts and the aerobics craze. Dressing like you had just left a dance studio became fashionable. The strange thing was that leg warmers were often worn indoors, in shopping centers, at discos, in school photos. Today, they are mostly seen in dance classes or fancy dress boxes. If you wore any of these in the 80s, let us know in the comments and subscribe to Britmobilia for more forgotten British memories, because the next look was short, frilly, and impossible to miss. 6. Rara skirts. The Rara skirt was short, layered, frilly and everywhere for a while. It became a major youth trend in Britain during the early 1980s, inspired by cheerleading skirts. It was often paired with leggings, oversized sweatshirts or denim jackets. The full outfit, huge hair, leg warmers and a rah-rah skirt instantly transports people back to 1984. The 80s never believed one accessory was enough. The next trend added color and plastic to almost every outfit. 5. Plastic jewelry. The 1980s loved big plastic earrings, stacks of bangles, chunky necklaces and bright belts. Jewelry did not need to look expensive. It needed to be noticeable. The bigger the hoop earrings, the better. The more bangles you wore, the louder they became when you moved. Today, minimal jewelry is often the safer choice. In the 80s, subtle jewelry would have disappeared completely. If plastic bangles weren't noisy enough, the next accessory made sure everyone heard you arriving. 4. Jingle Belts. Jingle belts were made from metal discs, chains, beads, or dangling pieces that made noise as you walked. They were worn over dresses, oversized jumpers and leggings. An 80s outfit was never finished with just clothes. You needed belts, bangles, earrings, and hair accessories. The jingle belt was not designed for quiet entrances. Today, belts usually hold trousers up. In the 80s, they could be percussion instruments. By this point, dressing for the gym had escaped the gym completely. 3. Lycra and exercise clothes in public. The 1980s fitness boom changed fashion. Lycra leggings, leotards, headbands, sweatbands, cycling shorts all became everyday clothing. Jane Fonda's workout videos became a global phenomenon, while aerobics classes filled leisure centers across Britain. By the mid-1980s, fitness was an identity. People wanted to look active even when they were not exercising. Modern activewear looks sleek. The 80s version looked like you might start doing star jumps in the queue at Boots. For some people, bright Lycra still wasn't rebellious enough. They needed leather, too, leather jackets with everything. The 1980s gave leather jackets several identities. Punks wore battered leather covered in patches. Heavy metal fans wore black leather with band logos. Pop fans wore cropped leather jackets with jeans and big hair. The jacket told people what music you liked before you said a word. Youth culture was split into visible tribes, and clothes were the uniform. Today, leather jackets are still fashionable. But one covered in safety pins, patches, and handwritten slogans is much rarer. The next trend made almost no practical sense, but copied from pop stars, it became impossible to avoid. 1. Fingerless gloves. Fingerless gloves kept your hands warm, but your fingers froze. Still, they looked cool. They came in lace, leather, fishnet, and wool. Madonna helped make lace fingerless gloves famous in the mid-1980s, and the look quickly spread through pop fashion. They were worn with denim jackets, party dresses, leather skirts, and giant earrings. Today, fingerless gloves are mostly for cycling, gaming, or typing. In the 80s, they were a serious fashion decision, and that was 1980s Britain. Even the gloves had to make a statement. The fashion of the decade was never designed to be subtle. It was designed to stand out. Whether you wore shell suits, shoulder pads, acid-washed jeans, or a perm that could survive a hurricane, you were part of a decade that believed more was more. Which 1980s fashion trend did you wear, and which one should never come back? Let us know in the comments.